Good morning, everyone. Today we start our first lesson in remote learning or online learning. You're going to be listening to this video and answering questions to understand or to make sure that you understand what you learned for today's lesson. We're going to go back to chapter 9 and start with the first lesson. Scatterplot. Learning objective. I can construct and interpret the relationship between two quantities using a scatterplot. The language objective you'll be using through the lesson to explain if there is a relationship or not. Following this sentence stem, the scatter plot shows use the keywords positive or negative, strong or weak, linear or nonlinear, or you can only say no relationship between the x-axis value and the y-axis value. So let's start with what is a scatter plot. A scatter plot is a graph that shows the relationship between two data sets. The two sets of data are graphed as ordered pairs in a coordinate plane. So you do need a coordinate plane that shows the relationship between the x and the y-axis, and you plot the dots to show if there is a pattern. In this case, positive linear relationship means there is a pattern. There is a trend going on where the dots are going up from left to right. And if you would draw a thick line, this would be linear. So the points lie close to a line. As x increase, y will increase. That's what a positive linear relationship is. Negative linear relationship, the points lie close to a line, but it's going down from left to right. So as x increase, y will decrease, and that's a negative relationship. Nonlinear relationship, so there is a strong relationship, but it's not linear. It does not make a line because it curves. So could be strong, could be weak. There is a relationship, but it's nonlinear because it's curved. Or the last one, no relationship whatsoever. You see there's no pattern, no trend. The dots are not going up or down or curved. They scattered all over the place, which means there's no relationship, no pattern between x and y. Another word for relationship is correlation. So is there a strong correlation, weak correlation? And that's what this graph talks about, the length in the chest. Is there a relationship between the length and chest? I can tell there is a weak because the dots are scattered, but there is a trend, so it is linear, and it is positive because it's going up. But because the dots are not close to each other where I can draw a line, even though a thick line won't make it strong. So the dots are not so close to the line if you draw, in which makes it a weak linear positive relationship between the length and the chest. Every time the length increase, the chest will increase too. Now it's your turn. See the ice cream sales. Is there a relationship between the temperature and the weather's temperature and the sales of ice cream? Yes, it is positive linear relationship. So when the temperature increase, the sales of ice cream will increase too. So now use that language objective. The scatter plot shows A. Make sure you use the keywords positive, negative, strong, weak, linear, nonlinear to fill in the blank. The scatter plot shows a positive, strong linear relationship between the study time and the math grade. The more you study, the more math grade you will have. There's another one. Use the scatter plot to answer this question. Is there a relationship between the age and earning? So the scatter plot shows weak positive linear relationship between the age and the earnings. The older you are, the more you earn. Now, how do you construct a scatter plot? If the data is given to you through a table, what I would do first, take what X represents, which is the absences, and what the Y represents, which is the final grade. Now look at the absence from 0 to 10. So I would count from 0 to 10 on the X-axis. And the Y-axis, since It's going from about 65 to 95. Counting by tens would be more efficient. So now let's write those as an ordered pair, x and y, 0, 95, 3, 88, and plot them. Those are the dots, 0, 95, the coordinates. Take 0 for the x and 95 for the y and put a dot, and then go 3 up to 88. You have to estimate where you put those dots and plot them all. Once you finish that, you will come up with this graph that shows a negative linear strong relationship. So the more absence days you have, the less the final grade you have. And so there is a relationship, and that's what the relationship says. As the number of absences increase, the final grade decreases. The dots are close to a line, falling from left to right. Now I would like you to answer those questions. Look at the graph. How many calories are in a sandwich that contains 17 grams of fat? Those are the grams of fat, and those are the calories. How many grams of fat are in a sandwich that contains 600 calories? What tends to happen to the number of calories as the number of grams of fat increases, which means what's the relationship between the fat in grams and the calories in a restaurant sandwich? That's it for today. The assessment for learning is to construct a scatter plot, which means graph the coordinates x and y from a table, interpret the scatter plot using the language objective, and then justify whether a relationship between two quantities exists. And hopefully you were able to do all that. Thank you and see you next time.